So what I'm going to do here is explain a little bit how I did some of the special digital effects for the music video I did recently. And some of it may seem a little advanced. It's not really a training thing, it's more just to show you what is possible, what can be done, and I'm hoping there's something of interest for everyone in this. So hope you enjoy. Okay, starting with the first shot in the music video, which is a far shot of Dean in the CG computer-generated environment. What we started with was a shot of Dean shot against a green screen sitting on a chair. And it was shot on its side because the camera I'm using is not exactly a high-end camera. Basically, I wanted to get the highest resolution as I could, and since he's sitting in a vertical way, I shot it vertically in the hopes that I could get a higher resolution ultimately out of it. So basically what we started with was just him kind of singing and moving to the music a little bit, sitting on the chair here. Then what I would do with the green screen footage is typically bring it into discrete combustion, which I find to be a very powerful package for keying out color or background. So what I did in this case was actually increase the color a little bit, saturate it a bit, then I applied a keyer, which basically allows me to pull out the green background. And combustion has a very nice feature for this, where you just kind of draw over the background like that and pull it out. After that, you can see there's some green around the edges, so I applied some color suppression to pull that out. Applied some matte controls to it, basically ending up with this. We have a little bit of the floor down at the bottom here, so I just kind of put a mask on that to pull that out. And so what we end up with here is the basic image, which then I render out with alpha matte, which is basically telling other programs what is to be pulled out, what is the background, and what we're using here. After that, what I did was I created this 3D environment using 3D Studio Max. And this is somewhat complex if you don't really know how to use it, but basically what I did is create these pillars here, a bunch of pillars, basic floor, and if we look at this with some shading on, we can see a little bit better what we're talking about here. It's basically a giant room. It's not even a room because it's not enclosed, but it has some basic, just a basic design to it. The lighting's very low, so if I turn the grids off, it's a little harder to see it here. But basically what I have is that. What I have here, if I can zoom in a little bit to it, is a light, which kind of, you can't really tell. The only way to really see what this is about is if you render it, and that takes a little bit of time. So I'm not going to do that at this particular moment. Then what we have is I set up a camera with camera movement. So over time, I have these balls. If you can see these balls I set up. So those are just kind of moving there for the hell of it. They really have no purpose. Oops. And then what I did is I created this plane here, which has, if we move in a little bit, which has the image of Dean on it. So it's kind of just there. When it's rendered, the alpha information, the keying information, pulls out the background, so we end up with just the background behind it. So if we go back to our camera here, and basically we have our camera movement here, and once it's rendered, we end up with the final result. So the final result was simply that. So you see we have Dean in here. He's been pulled out from the green screen, and I even created a reflection of him on the floor inside of 3D Studio Max to really place him in the environment. And then finally in Vegas Video, where I do my final editing of the clips together, I put on some final adjustments and a glow effect for the final result. For one of the next clips, we have the couple dancing in this computer-generated environment. And once again, the background is basically, I just have a still shot for this. And what I do is take the footage, this is the raw footage against the green screen. This is what was shot. I actually did use colored lights in the shot. I had a red light on this side, blue light on this side, so that's not post-production. I took this shot of the background, kind of lightened it up a little bit, but basically I just put that behind them. So I took the footage here, pulled out the green with a keyer, did some matte smoothing of the matte there. You can see, it's a little rigid, so that smooths it out. A little color correction there, so I gave it a blue tone so that when we see the final composite, it was a little bit too red, I thought, so I just gave it a blue tone to match a little bit. Then what I did was I put this kind of smoky layer on top of it. And what that is, basically, is simply this smoke kind of still thing, which what I do is when I put it on top of it, I move it slowly across the frame throughout the image as I also move the background image a little bit, so it looks like there's a little bit of camera motion, even though there isn't in reality. And so we get the smoke moving, we render it out for the final result. The silhouette in the smoke shot was also fun to do, something I've wanted to do for a while. Basically, it was again just shot against green screen like this, and what I did was brought it into combustion, same way, keyed out the green, and made it very high contrast. Put smoke over it to bring the final result. Ended up with this, and then in Vegas put a bit of a glow effect on it to get the final thing. Again, the background is really just a still frame. You can see at the very last clip here I messed up, and that's where the mask is I pulled out, but she was superimposed over the still frame, and the final result shows with the glow effect the final look. And the last scene of note that I'm going to point out is this rotation shot, where basically I have the camera still, and I asked Dean to kind of move around in a 180-degree turn. So again, pulling out the screen, fixing the matte and everything, we end up with him rotating from this position to this position. So I brought this into 3D Studio Max, and here, once again, we have this environment that I created. And I have a camera spin, basically, motion in here. It's all a computer-generated camera spin. But what I did was I placed a plane in the foreground, which has Dean on it. You can kind of see in the background what's going on. It's spinning, but basically on this plane, all he's doing is spinning. So I'm matching his spin to the spin in the background. So if I kind of turn the shading on and off, you can see what's going on here a little bit. But basically what that ended up was this cool camera spin effect. I'm hoping that you found at least some of this interesting. Please leave a comment if you'd like to see more of this type of thing. And check out the music video. The link will be on the side.